Hello, Professor. My name is William Kranich, and this is my submission for Assignment 3, Domain Classification and Intent Detection. Um, so right off the bat, if I run this guy, we're going to have this little UI pop up, and I can write in some things that I like, so I can say I enjoy running, reading, and talking with friends, right? And it's going to say, oh, your domain is extroverted and your intent is socialization. So if you remember from my project proposal, my intention was to make a program that could interview people and do a study essentially on whether or not they were introverted or extroverted individuals. So far, I've implemented domain and intent by essentially categorizing people, using those to categorize people into whether or not they're introverted and extroverted, and then subcategories in that, which is intent, which is, in this case, socialization. So if I run through the code here, we go into our domain classifier, and we have our first introverted, we have our introverted dictionary and our extroverted dictionary. The introverted dictionary having things like reading, video games, staying inside, crafts, and gaming. Whereas if the extroverted dictionary has running, biking, staying outside, being outside, talking with friends, or talking in general, and like sports. In the future, I intend to have broader categories for this. So how this ended up triggering, right, is we said, I enjoy running, reading, and talking with friends. This caused it to trigger extroverted for running, which run, and extroverted with talking with friends. And then so we were in the extroverted dictionary, which comes through to here. And then it went and said, okay, is this person outdoors, athletic, or more of like a socializer or other, right? With our intent dictionary within the extroverted intent classifier. So that comes down to calculating the intent scores, right? Which comes through here, and we have essentially, this, of course, setting everything to 0, and then comes through here, and we have this string from your second talk about assignment 3, which essentially puts everything to lowercase and gets rid of any periods or exclamation points that come after it. Then we have a few dictionaries here for the different sub-intents and categories. For example, the outdoor dictionary for backpacking, camping, and hiking, the athletic for running, sports, and lifting, and we had the social, which is what we just triggered, and it has talking and friends and such things like that in it, which is why it ended up scoring a 2. And then of course the other, which this actually includes pretty much as I could, right? But however, if we realize later on where everything gets 1 point, the other category gets a decimal of a point. So the idea behind that is if somebody names hundreds of different things or like a ton of different things and nothing really sticks out, it'll trigger the other category, which is just kind of like, okay, we have all of this stuff, but there's so much that it's not we can't really designate it to a singular category that is sticking out amongst all the others. But anyway, so this ends up adding it in, and the social category ended up getting 2 for talking and friends, which is what we had in here. Which is good. And then, so on top of that, just to show off some other examples, let's go ahead and run it again. Let's try and do something where we'll trigger the introverted category instead. So we go ahead and run it again. of course, this has relaxing, educational, and other means. But in our domain classifier, we want to see, okay, let's say we say, I enjoy video games and staying inside, right? Something very introverted. Go ahead, says introverted and other social means with the category. So I do have a subcategory in here which is, so it does video games, it triggered all this guy, which comes through here, and yeah, it does this. Hold on, I'm drawing like a slight blank. Yeah, and then it adds in, it does this guy, which adds, essentially means the introverted dictionary wins out. So we go to the introverted intent classifier, and it triggered other social means because when we come down to the intents, OS means, which had gaming, video games, like online stuff. If you like to work from home, if you like to, use other social means other than going outside and trying to talk to people face to face, meaning like you have other ways of, being social. So that comes down here to OS means, and that ended up adding 2 to it, or adding 1 to it, and none to any other categories. So it ended up winning out and deciding that this person is a domain of introverted with the intent of other social means. In the future, I might decide to do other domain classifiers. I don't know if I'm going to keep it like this, depending on how, like, what extent the chatbot needs. This is pretty basic right now, but we're just trying to show off the understanding of domain classification and intent detection. Let's see here. Let me just double check, make sure I didn't miss anything. You will need to run your code, send 2 or more messages to the chatbot. Oh, you know what I'm forgetting? So if we go ahead and say something like, sort of run it back again, and I say, I enjoy going to space and landing on the moon, right? This is going to say the message is out of the domains of the chat. It has no idea what you're talking about. It's not used to talking to people who are astronauts. So it's kind of out of the categories and domains that it has. Okay. Other than that, it needs to be in out of domain messages using the ID code. I'm just going to show some other intents because it does say that it wants to show a good number of those. Let's run it again. Let's do another extroverted intent. So going into the domain classifier again, and extroverted, let's say I say biking is fantastic. Or like, to bike is life, and let's see here. And I also I think I had lifting as another. Also like to lift. Let's do something like that, right? It's going to say, oh, the domain is extroverted and the intent is athletic because it comes into here, gets triggered by biking, which gives it a 1. Then it comes into the extroverted classifier, and under the athletic dictionary we have lift, which then triggered the athletic dictionary to gain 1, which is fantastic. Let's see here. Let's say we try. I don't know, another introverted intent. Let's see here. I like reading, coding, reading to code, and running, right? So it's going to trigger 1 for running, but it's not really going to matter because we have both reading and coding in here, which is going to trigger the intention of educational with the domain of introverted. So that comes through here, and it sees the introverted, it sees reading, and then it comes into introverted, and then it sees, oh, you like to read and you like to code, or it could have seen that you like learning, right? And it comes through here and it triggers the educational dictionary, which gave it its plus values right here, and decided you were more of an educational, more of a scholarly type of person. Okay, I think I covered everything. I think that's the whole walkthrough of the code, how it works, everything that isn't obvious, everything that needed, or at least that was added to it for the assignment. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. Look forward to seeing you in class, Professor.